and welcome to No Such Thing as a Bad Movie podcast. I'm April Atmansky, and I'm here today with
Justin McClue. And if you can't hear, our other podcast co-host is so excited to talk about Going Overboard. He's already laughing in the corner.
I don't know why I'm laughing.
Who are you, sir?
I'm Colin Cunningham.
Who are you? Why are you here? We started the podcast and Colin went, I'm always ready to talk about Going Overboard. And then he just started laughing.
Oh, it's my favorite Kurt Russell Goldie Hawn movie, man. Who doesn't love Overboard? Oh, no.
Should we reference it as its much better title, Babes Ahoy?
No, it had another title. I think it was the unsinkable Shecky Moskowitz. What's his name?
Shecky Moskowitz.
Moskowitz Project. But most people probably know it because it is the first Adam Sandler movie, even though that he recently accepted an award, and he said, when I did my first movie, Billy Madison, he's like, you liar!
You know why? Because this barely qualifies as a movie.
Ooh.
It's funny to think that even he, the person who
Has
did...
forgotten about it?
No, he is so embarrassed by it, apparently, that he won't even include it in his, on his webpage, his official webpage.
Wow.
It's listed nowhere. So even Adam Sandler has, standards.
What do you think that
Sandler.
is?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you look at the production behind it, this was a very thrown together movie, and
You don't say.
he has standards, I guess, that he doesn't think that this is worth his oeuvre.
You know, Adam Sandler recently showed up at a screening in L.A. of Shakes the Clown, which he has
Really?
a pretty big role in. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't
and he's
seen
like,
that
I like
movie.
this movie. So, I'll come and I'll do a Q&A with everybody else because everybody kind of got together.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's like Bobcat Goldthwait, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Bobcat Goldthwait's directorial debut.
Right, okay.
But we're here to talk about Going Overboard, a film that fooled many a teenager picking up out of a Walmart bargain bin.
Yeah, people who were Adam Sandler fans. So apparently, it came out in 1989. It did horribly. I think it was the title, The Unsinkable Shecky Moskowitz. And then when Adam Sandler got bigger in the 90s, see, I think this was years before he was even on SNL, right?
Oh, wow, okay.
They re-released it as Going Overboard and gave it a terrible cover.
Yeah.
And I think it still didn't do well.
When did Adam Sandler get on SNL, Colin?
I can't remember.
I'm not sure. I think it was 90s, though.
Yeah, it must have been the 90s.
Yeah.
Because it was 1989. Billy Madison came out in 95 or 94, I
Yeah, it
think.
must have been the early 90s.
So this is very young Adam Sandler.
He is so young. He's a baby.
His comic persona is ill-defined in this picture, unless it's bad stand-up is what he was aiming for.
I think everything in this movie is ill-defined. It's just off the mark.
Well, so April talked about the production history of the film. So from what I can tell, this was a production that was produced by a guy named Adam Rifkin. If people don't know who he is, he's kind of like a filmmaker who's done it all. He has the dream life is that he was super young. I think he was 18 when he produced this film in 1989, I think.
Holy crap.
Or maybe in his early 20s. And he made a film called Never on a Tuesday. And he only was able to make this film because he had a friend's dad who said, if you write me a script that can be made for under this amount of money, I'll give you the rest of the funds to make it because I'm a video company. We'll just release it direct to video.
Oh, okay.
And I think that this film, which was produced, co-written, co-starring Adam Rifkin, but was actually written and directed by Valerie Brayman.
Who's his wife?
Were they in a relationship or were they just...
They may
his wife?
have been in a relationship
Yeah.
at the time, or maybe got married later, but she is in the movie making out with him, so they were probably going out.
Yeah, I have a feeling they probably were going
Or maybe
out.
they had shot that scene, and then they were like,
And she was like, he is such a good
These
kisser.
are the
that I'm
two-
all
It is
in."
the most disgusting kissing
it's
scene.
the tongue kissing scene.
Oh, they add all this
Foley.
gross sound effects. Oh, it's disgusting.
Adam Rifkin, people may also know him because his biggest film he wrote and directed, Detroit Rock City.
Oh, shit.
Which have you seen, Colin?
I did, yeah. Shot in Toronto.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that his biggest film? He also made The Chase with Charlie Sheen and Kirstie Swanson. Yep.
I want to say people know Detroit Rock City.
Detroit Rock City was a big release because I remember there were
Oh, yeah.
a lot of trailers.
Eddie
that were-
Furlong. I remember Kiss pumping the crap out of that movie on
everything they do.
appearing on Mad TV to oh, don't forget to see our movie that's coming out this weekend.
Adam Rifkin was also the showrunner / lead creative force on the Goosebumps ripoff. I think it was Bone Chillers it was called, the TV show.
I haven't even heard of
You
that.
may have seen the books of them. They're very funny Goosebump ripoffs. But yeah, he lived the dream because he came to Hollywood. He did what he wanted to do. He wrote big movies. He wrote Small Soldiers and he wrote Mouse Hunt as well.
Yeah, he was a writer too.
Yeah.
I actually like Mouse Hunt.
Mouse Hunt is great. Small Soldiers, not so good,
I
but
never
at least
saw
it's
it.
swinging for the fences. And it's really funny that I think that the scene in the movie where like they buy small soldiers from the David Cross character, they're like, "We'll just give you whatever you want," and David Cross is like, "You'll never give me enough," and they turn a check. He's like, "Oh yes, I'll do that." It's like that's how the script was bought from Adam Rifkin.
Isn't that a Joe Dante movie?
Yep, it is. It is a Joe Dante.
He directed
movie.
that?
Small Soldiers?
Oh my god!
yeah.
How do I not know
That's
this?
why the like cast of like all the dolls are all like really famous, like old timey war actors.
Like Ernest Borgnine and
stuff
Tommy
like
Lee Jones.
that.
Oh, and like what's his name? Jim Gardner? Never mind. Cut this out.
James Gardner.
James Gardner.
Yeah, James Gardner.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
The
that's
Rockford,
why.
Rockford
and Adam
Files.
Rifkin also like directed Psycho Cop 2, which he did direct to video under the name Riff Coogan. He also did Invisible Maniac, which is a running Flophouse gag, which is about a guy who goes invisible and goes crazy and wants to spy on naked women.
Wow.
So he's had quite a career. He did a National Lampoon film that he starred himself, Stoned Age, where it's like he's like a caveman.
Oh my god! And he also did a Penn Jillette movie.
Oh, that's right. Director's Cut that came out
Director's
recently.
Cut, yes.
That was the one that we heard stories about that didn't get into TIFF.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And then Penn Teller was, or Penn and
Penn
Teller.
and Teller was
Penn
really
Jillette
mad about it.
Wait, they're not one person? He was complaining about it on YouTube or something.
He was
like
like,
that.
how
Yeah.
dare they not let us into TIFF, which was partially our friend's fault. But you know what? I don't think that movie was Midnight Madness material.
Yeah, you know what? I own it on Blu-ray, so because I'm an Adam Rifkin fan.
Really?
He also made Giuseppe Makes a Movie about Giuseppe Andrews, who also co-stars in Detroit Rock City.
I've like never heard of any of these movies.
And he makes movies in the trailer park where he lives. It's like a documentary about him making a movie. So, you know, I'm an Adam Rifkin fan.
Well,
I
I'm a fan of the female writer and director of this movie, so let's talk about her for a little bit.
Valerie Brayman?
Brayman.
Let's not take it away from her.
Bryman?
Although, I mean, who should take the blame for this movie because it's a really terrible movie. Possibly
why
both
did you?
of them.
First of all, why did you pick this movie?
Yeah, so we're doing a new thing now where we're taking turns picking movies. Usually it's more of like a group pick, but I wanted to pick this movie because, well, Uncut Gems just came out, man.
Yeah, you want to ride that Adam Sandler train, even though he did not get nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, you want to go right back to the beginning where it started.
Yeah, he was horribly snubbed. So let's look back at what is probably known as his worst movie, and also read the IMDb reviews for this because
they're so good.
They are
so
scathing.
good. There's so many 1 out of 10.
Worse than Cats. Like some of the more 1 stars than I think I've ever seen.
Cats is entertaining.
I mean, it's like this phenomenon of like taking an old movie by someone who's just recently become a comedy star.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people are angry about is that they got like hosed thinking it was like a more modern comedy.
I get you.
Yeah.
Because it's not really on Adam Rifkin. I mean, he made a bad movie, and Valerie Brayman. I like how I'm putting the blame on Adam Rifkin the entire time.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, he's got a pretty big role in the movie.
The movie feels a lot like his films. It even like has the same kind of plot of The Dark Backwards, which is about like a really terrible stand-up comedian who wants to do stand-up, and he's just awful. That one stars Judd Nelson and why can't I think of his name? He just recently passed away. He directed The Perfect Game and Identities and Aliens. Come on. While we're all having brain farts. He's in all of James Cameron's films. He was his good friend.
Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton. All I could think of was Billy Bob Thornton, who is also in Going Overboard.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But yeah, so I forget where I went off of this. Because the movies are similar. And like the animated sequences and the way it's kind of shot as well is very...
I have at least heard of that movie,
Yeah.
The Dark Backward.
And you
I
said
have
you
not.
were a fan of the writer-director because she made another movie that you like.
So when I was in high school, I rented a movie called Blockbuster called Love and Sex. And I think it was because I recognized Famke Jensen because she was in X-Men or whatever.
You just thought it was a porno.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you like hid it under your...
I'm sorry. I didn't get it from Blockbuster. I think I watched it on like the Movie Network or something.
Ooh, did you pay for it?
No, I can't. I didn't have any money. Anyway, yeah, thought it was a porno. No, it's actually it's a romantic comedy, and I thought it was a pretty good one. It's funny, and I remember really liking it. Flash forward, what has it been, like 20 years later? I saw that it was on Amazon Prime just recently, and I rewatched it. I was like, this still holds up. It's still good. I thought it was funny.
How sexy is it?
there's no like
Sex is right
actual
there.
sex scenes in it.
But it does
you know.
star Dreamboat Jon Favreau as well.
So it's about Famke Janssen who dates a bunch of different people, and one of them being Jon Favreau, and she keeps going back to Jon Favreau because they're meant for each other. But Jon Favreau plays like a ladies' man, and it's kind of a little bit shocking to see.
Is there anything he can't do?
As I revealed today to April, that story is based on the writer-director and Adam Rifkin. And Jon Favreau looks exactly like Adam Rifkin in this movie.
Really?
That's
and he's
really
named
funny.
Adam as well.
That's
so
great.
weird.
Yep.
Oh my god.
So Going Overboard, we've kind of been avoiding the plot because what is the plot
What is
Going
the plot?
Overboard?
Well, it's like literally Adam Sandler explains everything to camera. Well, the movie opens with, this is really weird. It's kind of, we keep cutting back to this scenario. It's Burt Young from the Rocky films.
He played Paulie
Playing, Paulie. It's Talia Shire's brother.
in Rocky.
So he plays General Noriega in this
Who is
movie.
apparently a real person, I found
Manuel
out.
Noriega. But they never say his first name in this movie. They just say it's General Noriega.
Who just wants to watch some pornos at the beginning of the film.
He's looking at this
Yeah.
pile of VHS porn that he has, and then one of the tapes is was it?
It's
what's his
the
name?
Unsinkable. It's the original
original
title of
title.
the movie.
So he's watching the movie. So he puts the movie in.
The
to his, like,
Unsinkable Shecky Moskowitz.
Moskowitz.
So he puts
Keeps on saying Moskowitz.
Moskowitz is the American tail mouse. Sorry.
Fievel.
Philly Moskowitz.
Somewhere out there. So continue. Yes, the general wants to watch a VHS tape.
So he skips the porn and puts in an Adam Sandler movie, and then so this is the movie, and we keep flashing back, or not flashing back, just cutting back to General Noriega.
Is he enjoying it? It doesn't seem like he is.
I can't. He's very sweaty.
Yeah,
Well,
it's very hot where he
The
is.
movie gets really meta because, well, we'll get to the Adam Sandler story later, but the Noriega thing is he's watching the movie and then someone in the movie he's watching insults him personally, and they say that he smells really bad, and so he brings in these two bumbling idiots who are like his henchmen and says, "Go kill this woman," and they're like, "Kill the woman who's in the movie?" And he's like, "Yes." And so they're
and he's like, "Stay tuned." And they zap him into the team. No, they just kind of go on a boat and find the boat.
and
that
they
the
somehow find the boat, and then they're in the movie that he's watching. And
it's so
isn't that
weird.
a crazy?
That's funny. That's some
idea.
funny meta stuff.
It's
like,
a neat idea, I guess.
Sure, but it's like everything is just so slapdash and like thrown
so
together,
half-assed.
and it's just like let's throw everything we can that's just wacky. And
yeah, but there wasn't even that much thrown.
no,
that's the problem. Is it's so like threadbare.
Yeah.
like the film starts with Adam Sandler turning to the camera. He's like, "Listen, we just had a boat to shoot on, and this is a real low budget movie. So, yep, this is what it is. Let's cut to some babes."
He said no budget, and I appreciated the honesty. Like he's telling the audience, "Hey, this is why it sucks."
Watching the movie, I was like, "Man, I wish I had this much money to make a movie."
Yeah,
I know.
Well, actually, I looked it up afterwards, and everything he says is true. It's like this boat. They had access to this boat that was going to Cancun for like a beauty pageant. So the whole boat was filled with these beauty pageant contestants,
and who are interviewed throughout the film and talking heads.
It's so weird.
which I guess is supposed to be funny.
I guess. Hey, it worked for When Harry Met Sally.
Oh yeah, that's right. All those beauty pageant winners in Harry Met Sally. And so the plot is that Adam Sandler wants to be a comedian. For some reason, he can't really explain it.
That's all he just says. I just want to be a comedian.
Yeah, I just
And
want to make people laugh.
he's a waiter on this cruise ship, which is one of the most rundown, ugly-looking,
It
shitty.
looks like your favorite restaurant that used to be in Toronto.
Captain John's.
Captain John.
But it is a real cruise ship, we found out. So
Yeah.
those
Rest
beauty
in
queens
peace.
are real life beauty queens are on there hanging out.
It's the kind of cruise ship that all the decks are covered in like worn out AstroTurf.
Have you guys ever been on a cruise ship?
No,
have.
I never, ever, ever, ever will go on a cruise
Really?
ship. Yeah.
Ooh, those are some great last words.
Well, I mean, it's kind of topical right now. I think people are stuck on cruise ships right now.
With the
due to,
coronavirus.
April, I'll go on a cruise ship with you.
No, I actually get seasick.
Never go on a cruise
I've
ship.
been on a boat, just like a little one, going where are the ferries?
You've been on one boat
ferries,
once?
and I get motion sickness. So
You can take a pill for that.
No, that's what they say.
It's called a tranquilizer.
I hate the idea of being stuck in a place in the middle of the ocean. These
Yeah,
things
with all
are-
these weirdos.
It's just like you always hear about these
like Adam Sandler's.
You always hear about these norovirus outbreaks on cruise ships, and everybody's shitting their pants.
Do you? I've never heard about it. Are you like searching it online?
There was a very
cruise
famous
ship outbreak.
There was a famous story from years ago. I don't know if this is a norovirus outbreak, but everything broke down.
Coronavirus?
No, this is
Noro. I don't know what that is.
The Norwalk virus, I think it is. It's when you get the 24-hour flu. You're
Stomach-
vomiting, you're
stomach
shitting,
flu.
and it's just it's like some sort of it spreads by fecal matter. So it's like these cruise ships. You got kids running around. They're just covered in disease.
They're in
You
the
hate
pool.
kids.
So I think this one cruise ship, it was like a fire broke out and took out the engines. Basically, they were stranded at sea, and all the sewage was like leaking up through the decks. So everybody was stuck on, I think, for like a week or something, shitting in bags on the.
I mean, have you seen Titanic? That is also a cruise ship that goes down.
Yeah.
If we're talking about why
It's a
not
real
to take a cruise ship.
ship.
So yeah, people were shitting in bags, and then they ended up at some dock, and then everybody was being rescued, and then one of the buses that were picking up the survivors broke down on the way.
I mean, this is like the worst example.
Yeah. So that's why I'll never go on a cruise ship.
Just that specific case.
Yeah.
I mean, if this movie ended with like everybody shitting in bags, it would have been much better than what we end up seeing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll tell you the rest of the plot. He wants to be a comedian because there's ship comedian, which I kept thinking they were calling him a shit comedian, but it's ship comedian is
Dickie Diamond.
And Dickie Diamond is a real loudmouth, and Adam Sandler doesn't like him, and through a coincidence, he ends up getting locked in a bathroom. So Adam Sandler is the ship comedian, and that's it.
That's
pretty much
the whole
it.
movie.
Well, it's because he's jealous of Dickie Diamond because he's surrounded by babes.
And,
And,
and he can't score with the ladies.
he's really obnoxious, and I read that he was based on Andrew Dice Clay, which is really funny.
I wish he was more Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh, they should have got Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Dice Clay in 1989, is he still on the top of the heap, or is he? Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
Or
he
he's
is.
just getting,
Yeah.
as popular as he can be.
This is like around the time that like Ford Fairlane came out, so he's at the top of his game.
That's right, the top of his game, which is like a little pile of shit.
But yeah, like we mentioned, like the Noriega's henchmen find them and they are trying to kill one of the beauty queens. Only they get distracted because they want to be stand-up comedians too. And the end.
I would have loved if this movie like built to Adam Sandler discovering his little voice that he uses all the time.
Oh, no.
Like, this is the comedy magic.
always meet people.
Yeah, he wasn't even doing that.
I know, he hasn't discovered it yet.
Yeah, he hadn't developed his shtick by this point, but
Well, it's funny. Sorry, go ahead.
we have to go back to the opening credits. Like, after the Noriega, after the Noriega setup, he puts in the VHS. The movie starts.
Oh, and then the
This-
stamp of quality.
This is just look at it's probably on YouTube or
It's
something.
gotta be, yeah.
This
The whole
is one
movie's
of
probably
the
on YouTube.
Ugly. It's like this animated opening sequence. This is so ugly.
Oh, I love it.
I
I love
you
it
know-
when characters turn into like animated, like meh, 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 and
We
there's, like,
haven't
funny
seen
music.
we haven't seen an animated movie opening since Chomp.
Yeah, it's
Wait, what's the song from Chomps again?
I won't do it. I won't say it. He'll never leave me.
So this is just like Adam Sandler, sort of talking the credits in his little like balloon, the text balloons, but every pose, they've obviously like done a caricature of him. It is so horrifying. every time he changes poses, we would just go, ugh.
Well, it did this thing where
Is that your favorite part, Colin?
It would
The
change
God, we
for
have to
like
think of
it would change for like 2 frames. So there would be 2 frames of him moving to the next position, but because there was only 2 frames, it was scary looking.
It's so ugly, and he's like in front of this brick wall that looks like it's drawn from like pencil crayons by a child.
My favorite part is the time padding of a nightmare that happens, and a guy rips his face off, and it turns to animation.
That's actually really good.
the one creative scene.
Yeah, there's so much padding in this movie.
So much
It's
pad-
incredible.
Just like the cameras are just rolling, and people are just like riffing.
Yeah.
In front of,
Yeah.
I guess, in front of nothing. They're just on this boat.
it's so many musical montages. So
Oh my God! There's a whole like Adam Rifkin plays like a rock star in the
Oh,
film,
that-
who's
Kroger.
so gross looking.
And that's, I guess, the joke. But it, like Adam Sandler's doing comedy, and then they go, "We want to see this guy sing because he plays a band of.
He's in some famous heavy
I think
metal
it's
band.
called the Yellow Teeth or something.
Yeah,
Something
that's
like
right.
that, yeah.
And he has gross teeth.
And so does his agent, who is played
Peter
by
Berg.
a very young Peter Berg.
who looks disgusting in this movie. He's always sweaty.
Yeah, he's always really sweaty, and he also has like really bad teeth.
Peter
Yeah.
Berg was, Colin would know this. He was on a big TV show, wasn't he?
I thought it was like ER or Chicago Hope, or
Oh,
it was
wasn't
like
ER.
it was one of those doctor shows.
Oh, okay. Because that's how he came up as like a young teen actor.
That was the first time I'd ever heard of him, and it was in one of those doctor shows.
Before I forget, Adam Rifkin also directed a film that was written and produced by Sam Raimi, Robert Tappert, and Bruce Campbell.
Really?
They took pseudonyms on it. It's called The Nut House. Yeah.
Is it
Never
really
heard about
bad?
this before?
No.
It's actually pretty funny. It's like a guy who has like mask-like powers who like he's always changing into different characters, like very silly and wacky. Yeah.
Who plays the lead character?
Some guy. It's not Bruce Campbell. Yeah.
Oh,
but
my
it's
God.
like Rob Tappert and Sam Raimi. They wrote it and produced it. And Scott Spiegel wrote it as well.
Oh, my
It's like
God.
the lost Sam Raimi film. Yeah.
Wow.
Other than Easy Wheels, which they also wrote, which is like a biker film.
I still have to see Crime Wave.
Ooh, it's very much like it's like a lesser Crime Wave,
Okay.
which is Crime Wave is not funny, but it's fun to watch.
Okay.
So back to Going Overboard.
Yeah.
What have I missed? It feels like we've hit every beat. What was your favorite part, April?
Well, I actually liked the talking to the camera quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen that in a movie in a long time.
Let me introduce you to my friend Deadpool.
well,
one who
okay.
created
Well,
it.
I never saw the sequel, but
It happens in the first one too.
I know. But who remembers that? That was a while ago. First of all, I like that he basically reminded us that we were watching a movie. I liked the meta-ness. I thought that was clever.
I liked it too, but the funny thing about like telling me that it's a bad movie that I'm watching, it's like, why am I
Yeah.
watching this then?
But like it was just very like oh, I think I need to have a dream sequence. I'm gonna go to sleep now. Like it was like I don't know what kind of absurdist comedy you would call that.
Yeah.
Comedy
Yeah.
that's calling attention to the fact that it's bad comedy. And I was hoping that this movie would be
Like a lot more of that.
so not funny that it would be funny. But that's not even what they're going for. I don't know what they were going for.
That's what he tries to do in The Dark Backwards, and it doesn't really work.
It's kind of weird because you can see the type of movie that they're going for, or like the
Yeah.
idea that the sort of wacky, fantastical.
Anti-comedy kind of?
No, it's just like the sort of wacky, fantastical.
Like Mad Magazine-ish, kind of almost
Exactly.
like a Zucker Brothers form,
Or
but just
like
kind of
a
more winky.
National
Yeah, like the lead
Lampoon.
guy would
Yeah.
just like have all these like fantasy sequences and blah blah blah, but they don't like commit really to anything one way or the
No,
other.
they don't.
And
And it's just not that funny.
It-
And it's
it's
not
not
fun to
funny.
hang out with any of these people either.
Well, Dickie was kind of funny. I think he might have been the funniest character because he's so not funny.
He's
and
purposefully
gross.
just obnoxious, and he has
yeah.
this really like awful laugh.
You know
like,
what? It's a film that I bet you it was a lot of fun to be on set.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
And
I'm
his-
sure they were like chuckling away behind the camera.
And as Bruce Campbell has said, the movies that are the most fun to make are always the worst.
Yeah, and because it was a lot of people's first movies, I mean, I think maybe you do have to give it a little bit of a pass.
Well, they
because
were
of
all
that.
making this movie, I think, because they had the resources. They could just
Yeah.
shit it out, and then they assumed they would probably just move on from there, and nobody would bring it up again,
Yeah.
except for the fact that Adam
Oh,
Sandler
no.
became a
Famous.
huge star. So they kept returning
Yeah,
to it and
like
trying
they,
to make money off
They
of it.
wrote it in 3 days. They shot it in 6 days.
At 6 days? I
yeah.
did not know they shot in 6
That's
days.
what it
Yeah.
says on IMDb.
I want to say it was like on the way to Cancun,
Yes,
or
so it would
something
have
like
been
that.
like within that timeline. You know what? I
Yeah.
believe it was shot in 6 days.
Yeah, I can
no
believe that.
contest.
Well, did you hear they lost a bag of camera lenses, so they had to shoot the whole movie with the wrong lenses. And that's
you
probably
wouldn't
why
know.
there's so much wide angle and just like things looking wrong.
Yeah, because there's the one scene where Adam Sandler is with his buddy in his cabin and
Yeah.
he's practicing his stand-up, and
Oh, that's
April was
bad.
like, "This is really claustrophobic." So they have one wide-angle establishing shot of the room, and then when they cut into the close-ups,
like
they're
that.
really close up on them.
I'll tell you why it's probably like that is that they were not on the boat anymore and they were somewhere else and had to get like inserts of them talking. So if you shoot it like, in a tight close up, you wouldn't know that they're not on the boat.
I
Okay.
don't know if they even had the money to do that kind of like reshoot. There was like a boxing dream sequence that was obviously not on the boat.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. It was like he kind of has another fantasy where he's sort of boxing. What's his name? Dickie Diamond.
Yeah, but they're telling jokes
They're
instead
telling
of
they're telling like zingers, and each zinger like kind of hits with a thud, like boom. It's like, oh,
just like the way this movie lands with
a thud.
Well, I gotta tell you, those two henchmen characters were so annoying.
Oh, God.
I wanted to scratch my eyes out.
Wait.
I was so annoyed by them.
Did you say what your favorite part was?
Yeah, I said the talking to the camera.
Oh, right, the talking to the camera. And finally, we saved the best for last. Colin, what was your favorite part of Going Overboard?
Well, I'll tell you what one of the better things about the movie was I actually kind of liked the Australian girl, Miss Australia.
She's okay.
She was kind of getting dragged around. She was like one of the better actors in the movie, and I thought she was kind of funny. Wife of Billy Zane.
That could have been your favorite part.
It is.
I forgot about Billy Zane, you guys.
Billy Zane, who is actually in this movie as King Neptune.
Very funny when he shows up.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't know what voice he's doing. It's like a combo of like Sean Connery and John Huston. He's like, oh, hello there. And he shows up, he's got his little trident. And
was
like
Billy Zane on the whole trip, you think?
I don't know.
I didn't even recognize him at first. Pretty good.
I think he had met his wife, who plays Miss Australia.
Yes.
And her last name is Zane in this movie, so they must have been married. And I think he had met her on Dead Calm, which was shot the same year, 1989.
Okay.
So I wonder if this was like his honeymoon cruise.
That would be pretty sad if he had to do that.
Like, hey, you're actor Billy Zane.
Hey, like we said, they were probably having big laughs, like behind the camera.
Yeah,
and like, oh, that's so good.
Every night after, after rap, they just go down to the bar.
Yeah.
Oh, they all get
fecal cake.
Oh, just like norovirus. Oh.
Wait, did you say what your favorite thing was, Justin?
Yeah, I started a little animated bit. That was my favorite part.
Oh, the tiny little animated.
Yeah, that was good.
I'm going to say the credits because that was the thing that Colin hated the most. Love it.
So awful.
Well, the end credits, I recalled seeing, there was a credit for Adam Sandler. It said, additional stand-up comedy written by Adam Sandler.
Really?
So the script, credit goes to the director, but he apparently wrote additional stuff, and the jokes are terrible.
We didn't even point out that Billy Bob Thornton is also in this movie.
Yeah, so
heckling Adam Sandler.
So Adam Sandler is like a waiter on this cruise ship, and he keeps like pestering I want to say Dustin Diamond. It's Dickie Diamond.
Dustin Diamond is somewhere on a cruise right now doing stand-up.
No, probably. Saved by the Bell cruise.
Yeah, but it's only like Dustin Diamond and the woman that was in that when they went during the summer.
Yeah, Stacey Carosi.
Yeah, and they were doing what is it, the dune buggy racing?
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't there another character that only appeared very briefly on Saved by the Bell? It was another woman, and
her name,
she disappeared.
Her name was Tori.
Yeah.
There was a weird season where Jesse and Kelly were not in it for some reason, so they replaced her with one person.
Tori. So it's like Tori and Dustin Diamond.
Yeah, that's all.
But they're now in quarantine because of coronavirus. So they're adrift in like the Atlantic Ocean right now.
The Saved by the Bell cruise, and the cast of the college years is there as well.
They're tweeting Trump, please help us.
What were you saying about Dustin?
No, Dickie Diamond.
Dickie Diamond.
So he keeps pestering him, and he's like, let me just open for you, and he won't have it. So Adam Sandler and his friend lock him in a bathroom.
Now, did they make him sick, or did he just get sick on his own?
I think he just got sick on his own.
Yeah, because he's wearing like zombie makeup.
Yeah, people also think that he died because his hat fell in the water.
And then they have a funeral immediately, which is kind of a funny.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, idea. See,
Yes.
it's not such a bad movie, you guys.
Yeah, you're right. 4 stars out of 5.
Hey, I laughed at the second scene when Adam Sandler is going on the boat and he's like moving his arms.
He's going up the
People can't
stairs.
see me, but I'm like gesticulating with my arms, and I thought it looked funny.
He's doing this physical shtick up the stairway onto the boat. And
What do you think was the thing that attracted Adam Sandler, or sorry, Adam Rifkin to casting Adam Sandler for this role?
I maybe knew him or doing stand up somewhere or something like that. But his stand up seems like his whole persona that we know of him now having is really unformed. This is a very, very different kind of Adam Sandler.
I think he still has a little bit of that put upon charming leading man, because we're supposed to think, we're supposed to feel bad for this guy.
He's the biggest loser.
Yeah, and he's not punching down like he does in his later movies.
He hasn't discovered his man-child persona.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
He is still he's sympathetic, and he's kind of sweet, but I was actually expecting more like gross out humor in this, and there's really hardly any.
There is some.
There's a little bit.
It's very tame for supposedly sex comedy as well.
Yeah.
Like, let's see some babes, and then just like people getting into like.
Well, it's actual contestants.
Yeah,
you
so
know,
they're not
in
going to
this
get
pageant.
naked for
They're not
the
going to get
cam.
naked. So you just endless sort of montages of just the camera panning across
Sunbathers.
Sunbathers. Like, whoa. And then there's one.
Whoa, that was Colin because he was falling out of his seat.
I was like, whoa. I like spat out my margarita. And then,
Oh no, I'm on a cruise as well.
but it's set to these cover songs. There's this one kind of reggae song that plays over and over, and then there's lots of cover tunes. And then April called it. She's like, I think that's Adam Sandler singing these songs.
Oh,
Really?
I
Yeah, doing the cover?
I
Yeah.
recognized him right away.
Yeah.
because it's like, doesn't he sing like? He
sings Just
"You
My
ain't
Imagination."
seen nothing yet.
Yeah, he does like a BTO song.
It's just my imagination.
Yeah,
Remember
that's
the
right.
the dream sequence where he's
You
making
know,
out
I
with the
feel
babe.
bad that Adam Sandler has like completely dismissed this film because he was obviously like good friends with everybody that made it.
Yeah.
So he wasn't like a gun for hire if he like recorded the songs, he did some writing on it. Like
Yeah.
they were all pals. And then, Rifkin is sitting there watching the Spirit Awards and he's like, what? Your first film? And also Valerie Bryman. I'm just not mentioning her name because, she can doesn't have to be guilty of this as well. Even though Rifkin gives us a call, he's like, it was all her.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, considering his output now, like The Ridiculous Six or something, or it's like a horse diarrhea shitting into somebody's face.
That makes
like,
me laugh.
Come a long way.
This is the movie that he disowns.
Wait, does that happen in The Ridiculous Six? Is that Maddie?
I want to say it's Rob Schneider. His boss.
Yeah, and he gets like fit
And it's like
physically.
CGI shit.
no, it's a diarrhea blast, and I think he is blown out of frame.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm
Give
laughing.
him an Oscar with the horse and shit.
God, you guys are terrible.
You know what I watched a few days ago? Because somebody convinced me that it may be good. Was
Oh no, the Zohan. I saw it on your letterbox.
it is not good.
Don't mess with the Zohan.
My friend,
It's 2 hours long.
my friend, who's an Adam Sandler fanatic, swears by that movie.
You know what?
Dude,
The beginning
no.
is funny because it's like Adam Sandler is shirtless the entire time, and it's him being like an action hero, like he can catch bullets out of the air.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of physical comedy, but then when he gets to New York, he just hangs out for like an hour and 20 minutes. There's no plot.
Yeah, I caught like half an hour of that on TV when I was in vacation, I believe in Cuba. And I was like, this is so bad, I have to stop watching it. So it's Adam Sandler doing women's hair, but he's also having sex with them.
Yes, he is. It's not a big deal though. It's just something that he does.
Yeah. And then that's when I turned it off.
And why? Because were
I
you
was like,
offended?
this is
Were you
terrible.
like-
Because it is bad.
You're like, these women are too old. They should not be having sex.
Exactly.
Isn't
Isn't
he
that
like
funny?
a secret agent or something?
Yeah,
Or like
he was a secret Israeli agent. The whole
Okay.
movie is about like Israeli and Palestinian people in New York like getting together and finding out they don't have
no.
to fight about anything. There's some funny jokes. There's like a hacky sack tournament at one point.
2 hours. Oh man,
It's 2 hours long.
That's insane.
Because it's written by Robert Smigel is his name, the
Oh,
guy
yeah.
who does
TV Funhouse.
Triumph.
Yeah, Triumph the Insult Comic Dog.
Yeah.
Because I had watched the pilot that he wrote with Conan O'Brien of that Adam West.
That was fucking amazing.
Had you not seen that before?
No, I mean I've seen it.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
I saw
yeah.
it years ago.
If people haven't seen it, it's Adam West is like
What's it
a
called,
washed
first of
up, like a detective on a TV show.
Yes.
It's like in one name.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've
it's-
seen that clip. I forget
What is it called?
it's
It's not Looker. It's Lookwell. It's called
Lookwell.
Lookwell, starring Adam West, and the whole pilot's on YouTube, and it didn't get picked up, but it's so funny.
It is amazing.
and it's like Adam West, like I'm the world's greatest actor.
But he's so incompetent, but he's so oblivious to his own incompetence.
Yep, great stuff.
Oh, if only that got made.
Yeah, instead of what? Going overboard? I don't know. I don't want to sacrifice going overboard for that. And the Ridiculous Six has that diarrhea horse.
I hope
I thought Colin was just making it up. He's like, it's a Western, I guess.
No.
Horse has diarrhea. Wait, why did you watch that movie?
I didn't watch
He
the
didn't
movie.
watch. He just saw a clip online.
I just saw that clip. And now
It's on Netflix.
We've turned into that podcast where like people are just laughing, and the listener's like, why are they laughing?
that's the only scene. So now every time I think of that movie, it's just the diarrhea movie.
Oh, I should point out, Zohan also has Rob Schneider in brown face. So, it was
go.
a bad time.
Well, so
That's all he's done.
Yellow face.
That's all he's done his whole career.
well, Ridiculous Six certainly has him in brown face
Does
because it's covered in diarrhea.
That's my favorite part of Going Overboard. A diarrhea horse. All right. Serious.
I hope I'm not misremembering and
Oh, no.
getting people to
I got
watch
excited.
that
Oh,
movie.
I had something to say about Going Overboard.
Yes,
How did
please.
they get Milton Berle?
Yes. Wait, I just got to point out, April has been looking so bored as me and Colin have been laughing, just like doing her nails.
I'm just letting you guys enjoy your diarrhea conversation. Not that I don't think it's funny.
I have
but,
to watch that
Someone
scene,
has to be the adult in the room. Yeah, Milton Berle shows up in this movie, delivering the only funny jokes in the picture.
Insane. I don't know. They just
not
had
shot
him,
on the boat, obviously.
They had him for like an hour or something like that. They sit down at a restaurant. This is like another kind of fantasy
It's a fantasy,
scene.
right?
Yeah, Adam
Yeah.
Sandler says like, I wonder what Milton Berle would, say. And he's like, hey kid. And then he sits down with him at a restaurant. It's probably like, I want to shoot at a restaurant. I want you to pay for my meal.
I think Milton Berle was just at a restaurant.
Yeah,
They're like, "Let's get him."
they just saw him, and then they were just like, "Get your camera and just ask him nicely," And then he does some jokes for him, and then Milton Berle's like, "That's not funny."
Did you used to watch Milton Berle in the Colgate Comedy Hour?
Oh no!
I don't know. What is Milton Berle from? I know the name.
He did a bunch of movies.
Okay.
No, Milton, he probably like an old vaudevillian stand-up, whatever.
I don't think he's that
He
old.
was a comedy.
He's pretty
He was a
old.
comedy guy.
Yes, but everybody knows his name. So
Oh
Yes.
sure, yeah, Uncle Milty. He's known.
Wait.
That was his nickname.
Was he,
I think he might have had like a show called like the Milton Berle Show. Or
I'm
something.
Comedy
sure.
Hour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been. You always see him.
I apologize for
Famous
not
for
knowing
having
who
a-
Milton Berle is.
famous
but-
for having a huge penis. I'm not joking.
like Liam Neeson,
No, I'm not.
I
like
know.
like a Coke bottle.
I heard that too, just because they made a joke about that on Friends once. So that's how I know who Milton Berle is.
Well, before we started recording, Colin was asking me about the other kind of big comedy stars that they tried to exploit by re-releasing their older films. And I think the one that is the most famous for that is Jim Carrey.
Yes.
Because they
Right.
put out Rubberface, which was not called Rubberface, which is a TV movie about a young woman who wants to be a stand-up, and Jim Carrey helps her out as a stand-up as well.
Oh, okay.
And then there's also Copper Mountain, which stars Jim Carrey and Alan Thicke.
Alan Thicke.
Yeah,
A comedy duo for the ages.
go to
Both Canadian.
Canada's dad, Alan Thicke.
who goes to a ski resort, and the film was paid for by the ski resort.
Yeah.
And I think they win a competition, or they watch like a Bachman Turner Overdrive play a bunch of songs.
It sounds like a very similar movie to Going Overboard, where
Yes.
it's like, we have this space, this vacation space,
yeah.
let's make a movie around that. You know?
Jim Carrey does a lot of imitations, which is not something he did that much. It's just like Jim Carrey doing shtick.
Yeah, for sure.
The DVD I have is from South Africa, and it has Jim Carrey's just like Photoshop face like right on the front.
Doesn't he have a big, long, like rubbery neck as well, or something?
Maybe rubber face.
He's talking about Copper Mountain.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. The movie ends with Jim Carrey getting into a brutal ski accident, breaking his neck. Hence the sequel, Copper Mountain 2 Rubberneck.
But yeah, those IMDb reviews are full of people saying, I was an Adam Sandler fan, so when I saw this at the Walmart bin, I thought, why not?
You've been duped.
Yeah, they were all duped. And they were like, don't watch this if you're not an Adam Sandler fan, and don't watch it if you are an Adam Sandler fan. Just don't watch this.
Then who is it for? Adam Sandler?
No, apparently not.
Alan Colbert fans.
Wait, who's
He
that?
showed up. He's Adam Sandler's friend who is in all his movies.
I had that in my notes. Of course, Grandma's Boys himself.
Yeah, he was the
I've
bartender.
never seen any of those movies.
No, I haven't seen Grandma's.
Grandma's
No,
Boy
but I
or
mean,
anything.
like, wait. You're saying you haven't seen any Adam Sandler movies?
No, Adam
Who is
Colbert-
Adam Sandler?
Because if you have seen him. You just didn't
Guaranteed.
know it
Oh,
was
okay.
him.
The only ones I've seen are Billy Madison.
He's in that. He's
and
one of his
Happy
friends,
Gilmore.
I
Happy
believe.
Gilmore, he's his caddy. And he was like the bum he picked up, and he has like a big beard.
Really?
You haven't seen The Wedding Singer? Because he has a bigger
Oh, yeah,
role
I
in
did,
that.
I did. I can't
He's-
remember it, though.
He's his friend who I think is named Uncle Frank, which is funny because I have an Uncle Frank who kind of looks like him.
Wait, is your uncle Alan Colbert?
Or maybe we were just calling him this character Uncle Frank.
Wait,
because he
okay,
looks
so
like-
who does Alan Colbert play in Big Daddy?
I haven't seen Big Daddy, if you can believe it.
Whoa, that was a big one after
God.
Happy Gilmore.
I've seen Little Nicky.
Oh, I haven't seen Little Nicky.
In Little Nicky, he's the bald roommate who is a struggling actor.
I think I've blocked that movie. It's so
Coming
bad.
soon
so
to No Such Thing as a
bad.
Bad
It
Movie.
is so bad.
I'm not saying it's fantastic
Wait,
or anything,
that
but
has a farting bulldog in it, doesn't it? It's like-
Oh yeah, probably.
it's
probably
one of the,
talking
I
then.
feel
But
like
it
that's
doesn't
one.
shit.
It's one of the better Adam Sandler movies. Like they got
Really?
they got,
Little Nicky?
Yeah,
No.
no, I'm not saying it's no Happy Gilmore, but it's. I feel like it's like that, and then like as they get older, they got worse. Like. Anger management.
Oh,
I
that's
saw
so
that
bad.
in the
I
theater.
want to say
That was
like
a
Little
mistake.
Nicky was like his first kind of like bigger budget
It
movie.
was, and it was a big flop, too.
Yeah,
as
it was
well.
a huge flop because it was so obnoxious and the lead character is so awful. But yeah, it was being heavily promoted and it had like a big cast and like
I only
visual
like
effects.
the Adam Sandler films that are in the spirit of Going Overboard, the he takes a vacation movie, like the Jennifer Aniston ones, where he
they're-
goes to Africa,
Just
the
go with it.
grown-ups,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I
they're
haven't
all-
seen
they're
any
all
of those.
50
scams.
First Dates.
All of his movies.
I
are
hate 50 First Dates.
Wait. We got a movie that April hates. Why do you hate 50 First Dates?
Because it's about a real mental illness, and I feel like it's just sad because it's about a woman who wakes up every day and doesn't know that like life is what she's perpetually, her mind resets to the day she got hit in the head.
It's a sad story about a woman who has to go on 50 dates with
Dates
Adam
with Adam
Sandler.
Sandler.
It's just I just found it to be actually really sad, and we're like making fun of this woman's disability.
Is it a real medical condition? I think it's maybe one they just made up for the movie.
Well, there are people who like Memento,
But that's not a real medical condition.
Well, there are people who I saw a documentary about it once. Like there are people who they don't have like their long-term memory gets messed up. So like if this guy like lived with his wife, and every time she would leave the room and come back, he would go, "Oh my God, hi!" Like he hadn't seen her in years. So there are conditions like that.
That was like Mr. Short-Term Memory on Saturday Night Live.
Never watched
Played by Tom Hanks.
I have never watched an entire episode of Saturday Night Live.
Really?
No,
Oh,
it was never
man.
part of my childhood.
You know what? I gave up on it. I had to give up after a long time of watching it. But you know what? I rewatched it last weekend because RuPaul was on.
Ooh.
And
I watch skits as someone famous, like Adam Driver.
well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there were like 2 good skits in that whole show. So it's like 2 out of 10.
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
few and far between.
I didn't watch Weekend Update because it's way too long.
Oh, when I was in
don't
high
like it.
school, I was just like obsessed. Everybody would
But that
watch.
was like the comedy thing, right?
That was the thing, and like every Monday morning, everybody would talk about the skits from Saturday Night Live. It's like, oh, I like this guy, but
So
it was like
who-
during the Phil Hartman
Yeah,
years.
that
and
was
Dana
like your
Carvey.
like era, the
Yeah.
like
When
early
it was
to
fun.
mid 90s.
Yeah.
See, I was really more watching it a little after that in like the early 2000s.
Yeah, so it's like Will Ferrell.
Yeah, and it was still
That's
good.
too-
Tan.
Yeah.
And then
oh
like
god.
I wrote it into like the whole like the Kristen Wiig years and the Amy Poehler, and like it was still really. I love Will Forte. Like
Will Forte's
I think
Yeah,
he's
he's
really
awesome.
funny. And yeah, as soon as like those, and I watched it into like up until like 5 years ago or something, like way too long after it started
That's way
getting
too
bad.
long.
Yeah, and I think it's still like fostering good talent. Like I really like A.D. Bryant, who I believe is still on it. But
Were
damn,
you like, I am only going to stop watching when Bobby Monahan leaves?
Well, you know who's still on it? Keenan Thompson.
Yeah, he's never going to leave.
It's like 20 years
Is
now.
Tim
or
Meadows
something.
still on it?
Tim Meadows.
He's not still on it, but I mean, he's around.
Wasn't he like the longest standing member?
Was he one of the longest
No,
standing members?
I
I
think
think
the
so.
longest one was oh fuck.
Who's that impersonator they keep
Yeah,
bringing back?
I can't. White guy.
Yeah, white guy.
he would do like
He's like the master impersonator.
yeah.
They always get back
I
to do
can't
like
think
Bill
of his
Clinton.
name.
Oh, I know exactly who. I could see
He's
him
like a
in
Yeah,
my mind's eye.
chubby-ish.
forget his name.
I love Tim Meadows. though.
Daryl
He's so
Hammond.
funny.
Was it Daryl?
Daryl Hammond.
Daryl
sounds right.
Hammond.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was the longest, but I mean, I could be wrong.
I was going to say that you legally have to love Billy Madison, right? Because that was shot in Oshawa.
Down the street from where my mom lives.
Man.
Wait, so he had a giant mansion just like
I
in
wish-
Billy Madison?
Believe it or not, that mansion is just in the city. It's beside the hospital, and it's also beside my high school, funnily
Yeah.
enough.
And you still give Billy Madison tours if you want to go to Oshawa and see all the sights and sounds.
Oh man. Well, you can go into that Parkwood Estate and just like walk around the grounds. You're allowed to do that. So we did that in high school.
I remember
Yeah.
seeing that we were at a video store with my friends. This was like when I was at Sheridan taking animation. And we were at the video store. We were trying to decide on what to get for the evening. And they were playing Billy Madison on the screens. And we were just sort of like pause and like watch it. And in tears, like laughing so hard. We thought it was the funniest thing. And then we rented it and watched it like twice in the same night.
Yeah.
I was going to say, a video clerk came up to you. He's like, would you like to rent that movie, sir? You're like, I've already seen the best part.
That one. Get me that movie.
But yeah, I mean, Billy Madison is great. Happy Gilmore is great. The Wedding Singer is great.
I'm a big Billy Madison fan, but man,
Billy Madison's
I
hilarious.
loved Happy Gilmore.
Yeah,
I've seen Happy Gilmore 100 times.
I was more of a Happy Gilmore, but
I'm like the opposite. I've only
Really?
seen Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. I watched it like 2 years ago. It still holds up. It's still very funny.
Yeah, I would totally watch it now. And I think The Wedding Singer is really funny as well. A little more on the sweeter side.
That was like more of a mainstream movie.
But
I
it's
remember
still-
my mom watching that, going like, I saw this movie called The Wedding
Yeah, that's
Singer.
like a watch with your family. But my parents loved it because it's like a tribute to the 80s. Before that, like, we're doing that a lot now, which is weird. But this was like doing it back in the 90s.
You got Billy Idol in there.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all I have to say.
Every time you say Billy Idol, I'm like, Billy Talent? They're still around?
Billy Talent.
Do you know the guitarist Ian Dessau
Of Billy
from
Talent?
Billy Talent?
How do you know the guitarist's name?
He used to be a composer at Core
Really?
Digital Pictures. Yeah.
I
Used
can't
to work with them.
Where I
sing
used-
one Billy Talent song.
Yeah.
Oh, I
He's-
can. I like Billy Talent.
Yeah, I don't know anything about them, but yeah, Ian, I like, bump into him from time to time.
Oh, really?
Super nice guy. And
Wait, like while he was in Billy Talent? Or?
no, he still is. But yeah, no.
Oh, no. He's not still a compositor.
Oh, no.
Okay.
So this was way back when.
Yeah.
So when the band was taking off, he had to like tell the bosses at Core, like, oh, my band's really doing well. I'm going to like leave to
Colin, come and join us. You want to
do-
be our lead singer?
No, to this full time. And one of the producers is like, he's so negative. To this day, we bug him about it, but he's like, band's never, that's not going to go anywhere. It's like, you want to stay being a compositor.
Yeah.
That,
now he's like a big
you're going to
star.
have this fleeting fame. And now they're like selling out.
Although,
fucking, like,
I mean,
concert
hey,
halls.
American fans, do you know who Billy Talent is? Because they might be just like a Canadian phenomenon. Their biggest song. No, that's
for
not
life.
Their biggest song, their first big song was called "Try Honesty," and it was like, it goes, "Forgive me, Father, why should you bother? Try honesty, try." They were, you might call them screamo. They were a screaming band.
Were they screamo? Because I was thinking like Alexis on Fire.
Though that's like the pinnacle
I love
of
this new
screamo.
riffing. No such thing as a bad movie.
You should call me Adam Rifkin. that's a real Going Overboard joke. What was it that you said while we're watching it?
What?
Something about, you made a pun about going overboard. I don't know.
I don't know.
All right.
This movie
What a
should
great
go
setup.
overboard. No, he made a funny joke about Disney Plus when we were watching Aladdin.
Oh,
Tune
yeah. I
into
said
our
they should call it
Patreon.
Disney minus. And just have like Aladdin on
No,
it.
you said that was a great joke.
On gold.
You know what? That was like a Going Overboard joke.
Yeah. I was like, I'm Adam Sandler telling that in front of everybody.
So where did you watch Going Overboard, April? Where can other people watch it?
It is available on an app called Tubi, which again might only be for Canadians. I'm not sure.
Tubi's like the new Crackle.
Yeah, Crackle, I believe, doesn't exist anymore, or at least it doesn't for us. So it's free. It's an app that you can download, and there are ad breaks. But just sometimes there was like 2 ad breaks in us for this. But I watched an entire movie the other night on it, and none.
Those ad breaks saved me. Every time an ad would play,
You're like the gun to your temple.
yeah, I would say, oh, thank God.
But yeah, I gotta say, I would recommend this movie if you're curious, because I picked it because I wanted to push the limits of this podcast, and this is supposed to be a really, really bad movie.
Yes.
And it certainly felt long for an hour and 37 minutes.
Again, we
How
checked.
is it an hour and 37 minutes?
And it's all padding.
This is
basically.
crazy. It's like April did the thing again. Like, should we check how long
Yeah,
the
yeah,
movie has
yeah.
left?
How much more
pause-
can the Black Devil doll do?
45 minutes left in the fucking movie.
But
at
we
that
were
point.
more than halfway through
and
at
it
that point.
felt like we were wrapping it up. Like, okay, there's
I mean,
nowhere else to
there
go.
was nothing to wrap up
Oh,
in this
man.
movie.
But
so-
at the end, Adam Sandler does get to fuck a mermaid, so no harm done.
Billy Zane's daughter in the movie, and her name is Slimy.
Oh yeah, slimy.
He says, I'm King Neptune. This is my daughter.
Wait,
She's been...
do you think Funny People was making a joke about that? Because there's a whole like movie within the movie where Adam Sandler's a mermaid.
He's
It's
like a
merman.
dolphin or
I don't know.
merman.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it was a wink to Going Overboard.
I gotta say, I didn't like funny people.
Wasn't very funny.
Yeah, Ray Romano's great in that movie.
I don't even remember him being in it.
Yeah, him and Seth Rogen have like a big bit where they're like, "Oh, look, there's Eminem over there." He's like, oh no, he's looking at us.
Funny People was depressing. But you know what? I watched it.
Funny was right there in the title.
I watched it when I was hungover, so that could have been on me. So maybe it's not that bad. But I found it very overindulgent because what's that? Judd Apatow's family is in it again, and at that point I was feeling very uncomfortable about that. And then he did it again
This
with
is 40 so
This
bad.
Is 40, and I just felt like
This is 40 for this podcast.
Dude, stop filming your life because it's becoming embarrassing. You know.
Yeah, you stick it to Judd Apatow. Yeah. All right, so that's it for.
That's it for Going Overboard. Are you guys not recommended? I'm guessing.
No. Go see Psycho Cop 2 instead.
Yeah, this is a big,
or
big no
like
for
you
me.
said, Love and Sex.
Love and Sex, yeah. Same director, same writer. Very good movie. It's on Amazon Prime right now. Famke Jensen still smoking hot in it, and Jon Favreau,
little Johnny Favreau,
also kind of smoking hot. So
okay, he's such a baby in that movie.
Yeah, and he's really funny too. It's charming. Mm-hmm. This movie was not charming.
No.
So if you want to donate to the Patreon, patreon.com/no such thing as a bad movie. And next week we have an episode coming out on the live action Aladdin.
Ugh.
Yo.
Wait, did we like it? Did we not like it? Listen to find out.
Yeah, which is available on Disney Plus.
I wish our podcast was available on Disney Plus.
Disney minus.
If you want to email us, we're at no such thing as a bad movie @gmail.com. We're also on Twitter at no such thing pod, and my personal Twitter is at April Atmansky.
You can follow me on Twitter at DeCluJ, DECLOUX letter J, on Letterboxd, Justin DeClue, or listen to the Important Cinema Club, which is a podcast that comes out every week that I co-host.
And you can follow me on Twitter. It's SGTZIMA, Sergeant Zima, and that is it.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for listening, and I hope you didn't go overboard listening to this episode. I hope this episode didn't make you want to go overboard.
I hope you're already booting up Netflix to watch Ridiculous.
The funny thing is, I'm just like looking at this counter to see how long we've recorded, and just like the movie, we're padding this thing out.
And someone just knocked on the door. Okay, well
that's it.
That does it for this week. I'm April Atmansky.
Justin DeClue.
And also Colin Cunningham. Oh, I ordered something. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad movie. Sorry.